Hey guys, I recently just finished reading Elvis Presley, The Airplanes and the King. It's a really interesting book. So with this book, there's a different version, about a 400-page hardcover version of this book that you can get, I think, in Elvis Presley shop online. That's going to cost a little bit more. It's going to be like $106, and I really wanted to get that, but while I was in Graceland, they sold this book in one of the gift shop near the airplanes, and this is kind of like the, I guess, I don't know, like a different version of the book where it's only like 200 pages and it's a little bit cheaper. It's about, I think, like $60. Still expensive, but not $100. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting. There's so many books written about Elvis Presley. I mean, you could have a whole library of Elvis books. So I thought this was kind of be interesting, and just another interesting thing about his life, and I was interested in the airplanes he used throughout his career, and talking about his Lisa Marie, and his purchasing his uh, um, airplanes and stuff. There's a picture of him. uh, so this is kind of like the, I guess you say, the affordable option when it comes to this book. This is the soft cover. It's going to be kind of hard to go through each page because it's written by this guy right here, Carlos Varrenti. He has experience with, I guess, airlines and stuff, and Elvis fans. Put everything together and writes a book about Elvis' experience, his on planes. And he really covers, the history of Elvis with airplanes, and it talks about in the beginning where, Elvis has had a fear of flying, early on in his career, and it's noticeable when you think about, like, when he would, when he was do these movies, he would, take a bus from Memphis to Hollywood in California. He wouldn't fly, but then it came down to the point when he went back to touring that the only way that he couldn't to travel he would have to travel by airplane. And so I'm just gonna go like really quickly and just flip through it so you can see kind of like it's very informative. Like I said, there's a picture of Elvis on the on an airplane going to Denver, I believe. But it's very, very informative when it comes to, like, it talks about all, and this is the letter that he wrote when he was wanting to meet President Nixon. So you even have that photocopy of that letter that he wrote when he wanted to get the narcotics department badge. So we got that. He also talks about going on when you have your own airline or your own airplane, you can pretty much go wherever you want. And they talked about stories of where he would go, and just spur of the moment went to Colorado to get the sandwich, the fool's gold loaf. Just one night, just got the plane ready, and they all went and just to get this one sandwich. Here's pictures of inside Lisa Marie, the bed. So that was very, very interesting. This is the other plane that he had, the Hound Dog 2. And it talks about in the book, but that Elvis was kind of like planning almost to build his own airline, really. And maybe if he lived, maybe he would have had more planes and stuff. And but there's a lot of pictures of the Lisa Marie, and it talks about purchasing it, and it was a lot of money. There you go, some more pictures. Yeah, but it goes through like every plane, pretty much every plane that Elvis flew on, they talk about, and give you kind of like a brief history of the plane. And I mean, especially if you're into airplanes, this is like perfect because it gives you like all the information about each plane, and then in the back. They give you kind of like a history of like what happened to Lisa Marie after Elvis died, and how they got the plane back. Different companies would own, which is cool. What I find is they give you kind of like a history of his flights, most of his flights, I guess you would say. As you can see in the 60s. You know, he rarely flew, you know, in the 60s. But then when you saw it later on, when you started touring again in, you know, 1969, and then throughout the 70s, you see that he has a lot of flights. And then, yeah, so it covers like that. That was kind of interesting. All of the flights. And then you go to, yeah, so 1975. And then, yes, you see like kind of like mapping out his tour, and then the final destination, you know, Sunday, June 26th to Indianapolis to Memphis, the last time that he was on the Lisa Marie. Yeah, very informative book to add to your collection if you're, you know, if you have an Elvis library. Definitely recommend this book.